Video game entities are essential for most games. These can include creatures from Hollow Knight, mobs in Minecraft, or crates in Half-Life. They ensure objects can interact with each other and move around in a world. In this video I'll be walking through what an entity is and how to make one in C++. So what is an entity? The Google definition states it is a thing with distinct and independent existence. This means an entity is not simply a duplicate of another object, but an independent object with its own attributes. An entity can also interact with other entities. The most obvious form of interaction is collisions. An entity can fall, bounce, and spin when interacting with other elements in your world, which is why all entities have some sort of physics built into them. They own all kinds of attributes to help them navigate in your own virtual world. An entity is not a UI element, particles, or an overlay, because these do not interact with the world, don't have physics, and are not independent. So what parameters does a basic entity need? It needs position to track where it is in the world. It also needs an angle to note its facing direction, and a sprite it needs to display. It also has a velocity component to move it from one place to another, and also a scale and a boolean for whether it is alive or not. Combining all these creates an object which can interact with the world independently. Entities are not too hard to code, they just need to have the following attributes. Just to note, in my game engine it works with a initialize method, process method, and a draw method. Initialize runs when the object is created, the process method is run every frame, and the draw method draws the sprite. Let's begin. Firstly, let's add these attributes. Let's add position, angle, a sprite, velocity, scale, and alive. The sprite class is an existing class which holds image data, and vector2 holds two floats. Next, let's add the initialize, process, and draw methods. Initialize creates the sprite, where the sprite location is the folder the image is found. The process method is a little bit meatier. First, the position changes dependent on the velocity. Let me know if you want me to go over what delta time is, however there is a wealth of other videos talking about it. Then, the attributes of the sprite should equal the attributes of the entity. And of course, this only runs if the entity is alive or not. The draw method simply draws the sprite, not much to add there. There are two more things to add, get and set methods, and a facing direction method. Let me know if you want me to go over get and set methods because they are super useful. Next is the facing direction method. Now this method returns a vector2 dependent on which direction it's facing. The x and y values are always between 1 and -1. For example, if the entity is facing upward, the y value is 1 and the x value is 0. As you rotate it, the values change from 1 to -1. This is super useful when targeting the rotation of x or y. To do this, we must change our angle from degrees to radians. This is done by multiplying the angle by pi divided by 180. Then the x value is the sine of the angle and the y value is the cosine of the angle. Let me know if you want me to go through this because it's mathematically magical. After that, I'll round each value to 4 decimal places, then return these values as a vector2. That is all you need for an entity. We can test this out by creating one and testing its attributes. Thank you so much for watching, and if you feel inclined, smash that subscribe button.